Thanks for checking out this movie review video. So this is for the 2021 film The Medium, and it's a Shudder exclusive, and it's coming to Shudder on Thursday, October 14th. And for that reason, and since this review is going out ahead of it hitting Shudder, this is a no spoiler review. I will talk about some other aspects of the film, what I liked, what I didn't like about the film, but I do have to put a disclaimer in the beginning, and that's the fact that the subgenre of horror that this film is, I'm not a fan of. I have a really hard time like really getting into the subgenre and really enjoying films of it. It happens from time to time. I'm not going to specifically say what subgenre it is if people don't want to know, but if you look at the title, it's not hard to figure out, to be honest. And most people go into the film already knowing what it's going to be, and really it doesn't leave things hanging out there to figure out what the subgenre is for all that long into the film. You get it pretty quick, but if people just want the surprise, whatever. But anyway, it's just a subgenre I don't really find a lot of fun in, to be honest. It feels very much the same to me. Every single film almost that's done in the subgenre feels very similar to me. Even if it kind of puts its own twist on things, even if it's doing different things like different scares, different kills, things like that, it all still feels very much the same. I just feel like there's not a whole lot deviation wise from the overall story that you can do with the subgenre. Every now and then someone does it, and I'm like, oh wow, that's interesting. But anyway, but that said, I'm not going to be as high on this film because of that for me. But I do try to really step back and kind of look at the film for what it is and try and take my bias out of it. And I can say that this is a well done film. And I do believe that people who are into this particular subgenre will probably end up liking this film, either liking it or loving it. I don't think anyone's going to watch this film and be like, it sucked, it was terrible. Well, okay, I'm going to take that back. Because it's the internet and somebody will say this sucks, this is terrible. I think there will be a lot less of those people than there are like it or love it. So, but put your comments down there if you love it, hate it, whatever. And you can also do spoilers in the comments once the film is on Shudder. We can talk about it, so that's fine. Anyway, directed by Banjong Pisanthanakun. I'm going to do the best I can with these name pronunciations. The film's from Thailand. I'm not well versed in pronouncing names from Thailand, so I'm doing my best, so please bear with me on that. But Banjong Pisanthanakun also directed films Shudder, Shutter, not Dder, Alone, Hello Stranger, One Day, Paymock, Phobia, Phobia 2, and did a portion of the ABCs of Death, which I wonder which one it was. Actually, I probably could have looked into that. It's been a long time since I've seen it, though, so this was written by Pisanthanakun as well as Choi and Chantavit Dhanasevi. And Dhanasevi also wrote scripts for Phobia, Phobia 2, Hello Stranger, One Day, and Paymock. Obviously has had a lot of involvement with Pisanthanakun, so they work pretty well together. Also, Hong-Jin was involved in writing the script. He also wrote scripts for The Chaser, The Yellow Sea, and The Wailing, which I've heard really amazing things about The Wailing. It's been on my list to get to. I just keep not getting to it. But trust me, at some point I will. It's been on Shudder. It's still on Shudder. So I'm going to do it. I am going to do it. But I know a lot of people have said things about how good The Wailing is. And then also one last person involved, Siwawut Sewatanon, who also wrote Succeed. All one word, the film Succeed. Like I said, this is a Thai film, so it is in Thai, so it is subtitled. But I do kind of feel like Thai isn't one of those super fast languages, so the subtitles kind of hang up there for a decent amount of time. So for people who are slower readers with subtitles like myself, it's not too rushed. There are certain languages where it seems very, very fast, and it's harder to read the subtitles if you're a slower reader. But this, no problem with that, and give it a shot. So the synopsis really is, I don't really want to do a synopsis. It is a documentary style film. It's not a documentary. It presents a lot like a documentary, and it actually looks and feels a lot like a very nicely polished documentary. In the beginning, it felt so much so that I had to like look online real quick and be like, is this actually a documentary? Because it really like looks and feels like it's done exactly like a documentary would be done, and a really well done one. They really get all like the camera movements done right. They do the interviewing stuff exactly like it's done in a lot of really well done documentaries. So it has the feel they were really going for with it. So it's basically about a documentary being done about someone who's a medium in a town, village in Thailand, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's a long film, unfortunately. I do think it could have definitely been cut back some. It's like 2 hours and 10 minutes with credits and everything, and it really does feel pretty long because since it's documentary style, it almost crosses over a little bit into like found footage. Actually, it does kind of cross over into like found footage. Documentary styles do that a lot. And for that reason, like there's a lot more that ends up coming into the film that kind of slows the pace down because they want to maintain that feeling like it's real life, like you're watching this as this happens type thing. So I understand that that's why it has to be done. It just kind of is tough for a person like me because I don't like my films to be all that slow. And in addition, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of this subgenre in particular, but there are people who are going to be totally fine with this and they're actually going to enjoy the kind of slow burn of it. And that's why I said, like, it was well done. It was well done for what they were doing. And I still can't get over how much it looked and felt like a documentary. Like, it's crazy. And that actually speaks a lot to the acting in general because everyone does a phenomenal job with the acting. But I really want to call out a big shout out to Norilia Golmong Kopek. She did an amazing job in a very, very, very demanding role that hits a lot of range. She was phenomenal. But like I said, all the acting in this is really, really good. Very impressed by that. There isn't a ton of music, and when there is music in it, it's pretty restrained, which I'm totally down with. I love that aspect of newer films. They're not super in your face with the music. They're not beating you over the head with it, trying to tell you how you should feel. It has so much more impact for me personally when you're just seeing the visual and it's either low music or it's silent and you're just left with yourself. You're left with your own feelings and trying to figure out the confusion of what is going on here. How should I be feeling? I really enjoy that about films that have that restrained score. So I like that they do that with this. There is text that ends up coming up on screen that is in Thai, and there's no subtitle for those. So I don't know if that's just the case with the screener copy I got, or if it's going to be like that when it's on Shudder. That's a problem in my opinion, obviously, because I'm missing parts of the story because I can't read Thai. So you have to have those subtitles in there for those things, not just the spoken word. So that was a big shortcoming with the film, I think. You know, obviously not the filmmakers themselves. Whoever was handling doing the subtitles, they made a big misstep on that. And if it was a problem with the screener, I still don't understand like why we couldn't get a finished version for the screeners. That has happened from time to time where they're like, this isn't actually the finished version, and we're not getting it like that far ahead of it coming onto Shudder. So why don't you just get it done and give us a full screener? So just saying. I'm not saying that's what necessarily was at play. I hope that's what was at play here, because otherwise, other people trying to watch this who can't read Thai are going to miss stuff like I did. I don't think it's anything super, super important, but then again, I also don't know. It seems pretty obvious where the film is going. Now, that's one thing that I also don't like about this particular subgenre is everything seems very obvious. There are some twists that come up in this, but they feel very minor from an overall standpoint. I do like subgenres where, you know, you really don't know where it's going to go, and then you eventually find out and you're like, oh, you know, this is interesting. Now it all makes sense. But with this type of subgenre, like, you just know. Like, you know, you're like, okay, this is where it's going to go. You know certain things that are going to end up happening. Even if they're not exactly the same, they're pretty similar. And that is at play here. But it does also have its own twists on things that I think people who are fans of the subgenre really will appreciate. For someone like me who isn't all that into films like this, it is very slow. That said, they do work on building things the whole time. And there really doesn't seem to be much of any filler. Like I said, they needed to take it slow in order to maintain that documentary style, which turns into like a found footage style. So I get it. Like, I understand. They kind of had to do that. So it is longer, it is slower. It's just not something I enjoy, but I know other people will be totally good with it and actually really enjoy that. There are a lot of very nice looking shots of the landscape and the setting, like the town that is the setting of this film. So in general, like from technical standpoint, it's beautiful. It's very well shot. The directing, cinematography, so nice. The lighting is great. Like, I don't feel like at really any point you feel like any of the scenes are really lit. Like, it seems like everything is like natural lighting, and maybe it was. Maybe they just used natural lighting, or maybe they were so good with their lighting that they were able to make it look like natural lighting. It was very well done. All the technical stuff, really, really, really good. And their editing was really well put together too. The cuts are excellent in this film. It doesn't really get going until about the hour mark. They're working on really slowly building each of the characters and letting you kind of settle into knowing the situation and who everyone is and all that stuff. So about halfway through the film is when things start to really move. So I don't really like that necessarily, but like I said, people will be fine with it. About an hour and 20 minutes in is when the creepiness gets amped up, and there's a segment from like the hour and 20-minute mark probably till about like the hour and 30-minute mark ish that is quite creepy. I do like how they executed all of that. They try something different with the camera footage that I thought was interesting, and yeah, that was probably my favorite part of the film, to be honest. There is something in this that some people will get very upset about. It's something that whenever it is in a film, people get upset about it, no matter what the genre is. So I'm not going to say specifically what it is because I don't want to ruin things, but you can probably figure out what it probably is based off the way I'm talking. Some people are going to be upset. Just be aware. There are some twists to the story, like I said. I really like the visual of the last shot that's at the end of the climax scene. I can't say it's the last shot because there is kind of like a portion after the final climactic scene, but that final shot where it rests at the end of that climactic scene looks beautiful. It's haunting, and it's really, really, really well designed. Really enjoyed that. It's stunning, and I kind of wish the film just would have ended there and then gone directly to the credits because it's such a great lasting visual. The camera operators worked very hard on this film, that's for sure. You could definitely see it. Man, these shots must have been kind of hard to get. I don't even know how many takes some of these would have taken, but they worked hard. These camera operators did an excellent job. Once again, the film's definitely too long, in my opinion. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes. There probably could have been some cut out. Probably not a ton because of what I was saying about the documentary style and the found footage aspect of it. But some definitely could have been cut down. I'm just not a big fan of these types of films, and they just all feel kind of similar to me. So my excitement level is not what it could be if I was a fan of the subgenre. I know I've said it a few times, but it bears repeating multiple times. I really do think if you like the subgenre, you are going to quite like it or really like it. But you can tell me that yourself. Put it down in the comments. So out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I'm going to give this a very solid 3.5-star rating. And I'm really trying to, take my bias out of it. I can see people will be like, no, this would be a 4 for me or 4.5 or whatever. But 3.5 for me, and that's me taking my bias out of it. That's a very solid rating for what I do, obviously. So check it out if you're into the subgenre. And like I said, you can kind of figure it out based off the title. Medium. There's a medium in it. Can figure it out. It's not that hard. But anyway, yeah, put your comments down there. Like I said, we can do spoilers. That's fine. Also, do me a quick favor. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, because quick, painless, it is literally your way to pay me back because I don't make money doing this or anything. It really does keep me motivated when I get new subscribers. Also, hit the notification bell button, and that way you'll know when I'm putting up new videos, whether it's a no spoiler review like this for a newer film, or one of my deeper analysis reviews for older films, or an unboxing, or one of my opinion videos, or any of that stuff. I really do appreciate it. Everyone who does subscribe and people who make sure that they check out my videos as fast as possible because that helps with views. It really does. But regardless, I really thank you for taking your time to watch this. And until next time, keep it brutal.